structure, she was able to get whatever you're at better. If you were a decent presenter, you'd be even a better presenter. If you were great, you could become excellent. And some of the things I'd hear Deb say, I'd be like, oh, I don't need to do that. And then one day I started presenting going, I'm going to try that. And I learned that was the right thing. And it was hard for me because I knew I was already perfect. And it was really, I just don't get it. But the reality though is I really felt, like at first when I heard these ideas, I was like, okay, I'll try it. So as Deb's going to go walk us through almost like a TED Talk today, you may pick up one thing, you may pick up 10 things, but it'll make you think a little bit before you present. I was talking to Melissa just yesterday, how challenging it is for all of us. I know Melissa's on the road, so I don't want her to be zooming in because that's very scary. But it's very challenging as you're on the road, but we also live in an expected Zoom world. We're going back and forth, and that's hard for all of us. It really is. So, and it's hard for time management. When during COVID, when we were done at 5 o'clock, we were done at 5 o'clock. Now you got 2 hours to drive home, and we're getting a little bit more tired on how to do that. But we can't forget about the little things. And that's why Deb is here today. She's going to help us with little things. And I always said the best reps know how to steal little things from every single person. And whether you are experienced or brand new, we all still can learn. So Deb, one of the best in the industry, and I'm just so pleased to have you here. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Jason, thank you so much for those kind words. It's wonderful to be back visiting and working with you for a moment. And of course, it'd be really nice to take some time to talk those, chat a little with those of you who are new or those with whom I've worked a great deal of time ago. But this is to be purposeful. And I want to make this time purposeful so that you can take away things that will improve your conversation. And in the process of improving your conversation, it's going to improve your speaking skills. So the time in these few minutes are twofold. First, I want to provide the 6 predispositions of an audience. And secondly, a couple areas of improvement that you can take away and start practicing in your conversational element. What's an audience? An audience is a chance to speak to an individual or a group. It's an opportunity to be heard. That's an audience. An audience are you. An audience can be on the phone. An audience can be an in-person meeting, but it's an opportunity to be heard. Keywords, you're the speaker being allowed to be heard. And so from an audience perspective, this is a great reveal about what an audience has in terms of a predisposition. First, the audience wants you to succeed. They want to hear what you have to say. No one right now is saying, geez, I hope this is a waste of time. You really want to have an opportunity to think, I hope I learned something here. The audience wants you to succeed. We're talking earlier, Jason, you're in a rock band, and there might be others who are in a rock band. You can tell the audience has positive energy. An audience comes to the event with positive energy, with positive expectations, because they want you to succeed. Sometimes that positive energy is felt as a speaker in terms of nervousness. You feel nervous. It's excitement because you have something to say. And furthermore, the audience wants to hear it. They want you to succeed. They're going to generate a positive energy, even if it's one person on the phone. There is energy there, and you can capitalize that and use it to your advantage. So the audience wants you to succeed, and they have a high expectation. They want you to be positive. Focus on them. Many of you have been through sales trainings, lots of sales training, and learned about needs assessment, where you take the time to find out what the audience wants. And that's really important because having that information, knowing their needs and other concerns, puts the focus on them. The audience wants you to talk about them. and meet their needs. They want you to use their words. It's kind of like if you are in an audience or somewhere and there's a loudspeaker where names are being called. You don't hear anybody's name until it's your name and you are aware. That happens when you use their words. If they're talking about durability of the number blocks or any number of concerns, when you use their words, they pick up on that. It clues them in. They want to be heard. They want to hear about their needs. The audience gives you control. Right now, you're listening to me. You're giving me control. We've been in sales meetings to show the power of an individual speaker. We've been in sales meetings, whether it's a small group or 300 or more, where the speaker says to stand up. And what do? Stand up. You've been in sales meetings probably where not only do you stand up, they'll say, turn to the right. And the next thing you know, you're giving a neck massage to the person next to you who you don't even know. And why are you doing that? Because the speaker told you to. You have control. So if you can tell somebody to stand up, think of the power you have when you tell somebody to buy it. Because if they stand up, they do. If you tell them they buy it, they will. You have control. The audience can be persuaded. The audience can be persuaded. They want to hear, they need tangible evidence in a sales environment. Sometimes you think that the product can sell itself, when actually members of the audience need tangible evidence. They need a reason to buy the product. And so when you use their words, whether it's durability, whatever you have found in needs assessment, you reinforce that in their words. They are persuaded then. You've given them the tangible evidence that they need if they're in a leadership position, which most of the time they are, to say, we're going to buy this product because you told me to, because it has durability, it does this, it does that. It gives you the tangible evidence to persuade them to make the decision to buy the product. Finally, number 6, and this can be a challenge, is that the audience can be preoccupied. And we've all been in situations where the audience can be preoccupied by 2 variables. External, it's too hot, it's raining, the dog's barking. You've all talked about different Zoom things, kids crying, phone rings. Those are external. That switches the focus from them to something else. And there's also the internal. Leslie, I understand you're not feeling well. And so the internal things, you just might not have the capacity to, anyone who's not feeling well, there's some hardship, there's something internally that's causing a distraction. And so we know that the audience comes with that. But in all of these 6 different predispositions, 5 are positive. They want you to succeed. They want you to use their words. They want your focus. They want to be persuaded. And in the process of doing that, you can keep the focus back on them to minimize the preoccupation. Essentially, the audience wants you to succeed. It's a very positive, energizing, uplifting experience. So the second part, do you have any thoughts or comments before I shift to how you can improve your conversational skills? Thoughts on predispositions of an audience?
So I'll just say that I agree with you 100% that you need to know your audience in order to tailor your presentation to it.
Absolutely.
Knowing your audience the focus is on them. And so how can you maintain the focus on the audience? How can you improve your area of communication, even in conversation? First of all, the effective presentation is about communication, not exhibition. The exhibit, another term for an exhibit, is show. It's not a show. It's not about you. It's about the audience. And a way that that shifts immediately is that it's a matter of pronouns. When you talk about you, I mean you, the audience. I'm interested in you. And in the process, because it is habitual, when second person becomes first person, and I'm really excited to be here. I have spent hours preparing for this. I would really like to have the opportunity. My house has been turned upside down. When I start using first person, it shifts that communication from being purposeful to being a show. I want to minimize the show. I want it to be about you. So in your practice of being conversational, practice using the words, the first or the second pronoun, you. I'm interested in what you have to say. I don't want to hear me. I want to hear about you. And secondly, which can be a little uncomfortable because we hear it all the time. And so what we hear is what is repeated. And that is a way to improve, not only in making the communication about the audience and using second person, is to eliminate the clutter from your communication. And the clutter comes in words that have no meaning, but are just habit. Have any of you watched the TV program Succession? There is a dialogue. The dialogue there is completely filler in most instances. Here's how it sounds when Tom talks to Greg. Uh, well, well, yeah, yeah, wait, I mean, maybe. It's all of that clutter and words that we use unintentionally, but clutter. And the worst one is, you know, you know, now that you're aware and you start listening to yourself, because the improvement in your own conversational speaking comes first in conversing, and then in being more formal like this is, and taking control where you're giving a speech, is to eliminate the clutter. Words like, you know. Just stop. If you start to say you, stop and say what you're going to say after you say you know. It clears the path. There are other words like, I mean, conversation is filled with clutter. And when you add words like, well, especially when you've been asked a question, well, that's a sign of indecisiveness. There are these subliminal elements that you want to reinforce the positive environment that you're in, not cause and look like you're indecisive. Well, or look is defensive. It's also look where you get frustrated, where you're trying, you should be able to understand this. Look. And also, okay is a hesitancy. So when your conversation is filled with, I mean, like basically this is something that I want you to know. And when you fill with clutter and first person, it diffuses the clarity of the message that you want. And not only that, it takes time away from being clear. So these are the two things that are important in this time that we've had together, and knowing that when you go into a speaking environment, whether you're on the phone or whether you're in person or in a situation like that, it's positive. The audience wants you to succeed. They're going to give you positive energy. They want you to focus on their needs. They want to buy from you. They want to be persuaded. And if you tell them to buy, they will. And in the process of having that communication, if you can be conversational and remember to use the first person or a second person versus shifting that focus to yourself, keep the focus on you and eliminate the clutter so that the communication is clear, it's positive, and it's persuasive.
Question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You talked about negative bridge words. Are there any fail-safe positive bridge words?
What do you mean by bridge word, Barb?
When you say, I see the like, I mean, well, that kind of thing is a stall, like you were talking about. Are there any good slow down the conversation, but good positive bridge words?
Transitions. I understand what you're saying. And in the context of these words, I mean, like, it's a process of elimination versus trying to substitute it with something else. Because by virtue of being in front of the presentation or being in front of an audience, there is that propensity. Propensity means inclination. There is that sense of being positive. So in this case, it's elimination versus substitution.
Okay, thanks. I find too that sometimes slowing down the ball a little bit, there's a lot of fast talkers out there, slowing it down. And how do you feel about pauses, silent pauses? Is that a bad bridge or a good bridge?
You're absolutely spot on about that, Barb, because when you eliminate clutter, what you're going to substitute clutter is with silence. You're absolutely right about that. There are so many things about public speaking in terms of voice, rate, pitch, diction, particularly if we're going to start talking about phonics, that if you find this helpful, that we could expand the whole notion of voice. And in that element of voice, there certainly is rate.
Thank you.
Allowing for silence. And silence also brings back, if you've lost the attention, if you've lost control of the audience, silence helps to bring them back.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Deb? I mean, that's like our part one with Deb, and we'll bring Deb back. We have our next meeting is a different topic we'd like to bring, but these are great ideas just to fine tune ourselves. I am guilty of 90% of what Deb says. I know that. Look at me right there. But one thing that we also have to realize about ourselves is that you as a person have an energy source itself. People give off natural great vibes. And Deb and I were talking just yesterday. And really the audience has a 7 to 10 second window of right off the bat saying they're going to say to themselves, I'm going to listen to Kathy, or I'm going to listen to Leslie. And in about 22 seconds to 30 seconds, they have now already decided, I'm going to buy from Jeff, or I'm going to buy from Katie. And you haven't said anything about phonics. You haven't said anything about math fluency, but they've already decided they wanted to buy from you. So this is not to say, trust me, my son, my little one can imitate me like no other, and I take it like a champion because I get excited. I have to slow down my energy sometimes from audience. But your personality, people do love you. If we can just make everyone just a little bit better, including myself, then we're going to be even better. We'll make our team phenomenal.